I was took kind of the helm with that and led that project, and it went well. It's a lot of work, but I had fun. I learned a lot, and I gave you a copy of the finalized plan for your packet, so you have that. And it just kind of goes through our process and what we did. It was a great process. I thought we had a team that worked together that was made up of staff, library board members, friends of the library board, and a couple of just residents representing our population. And that team worked really hard, basically to gather data from residents and people that live in our community. And we did that through a couple of different avenues. We had a survey that went out to about 970 people were responded to that survey. So that was a huge response, we thought. And this was something that we worked with the University of Michigan, and they helped do the analysis of that data for us. So that was really a nice bonus for us. But what we found were the people that answered that survey were mostly our library card holders. And we wanted to work hard to get information back from people that weren't library users. And so my team decided to spend a day at the football game, at one of the football games last fall, and they tried to get people that did not have a library card to answer a survey. And that was a specific non-library card user survey. And we were able to get more responses from them about services and what was important for them. Once we had that data, we then looked at inviting in some people for focus groups so we could really dig down and ask specific questions on where we thought our needs were. And we had 5 different focus groups and got great information from them. 2 of the groups, we've actually started implementing some of the information that came directly from those focus groups. One of them was the focus group made up of 20 to 40-year-olds. And one thing that they said is they were looking for places to connect in the community that didn't cost a lot of money and was not surrounded by alcohol. They just wanted something low-key where they could get together with people their own age. And so we created a new program called A Third Place, where twice a month, this group comes in and we have a young couple came to me and said, hey, we want to run this for you. So they volunteer their time and they figure out what the people want to do. They do games, cards, movies, and just kind of hang out together. And it's a nice way for people to meet new friends and meet new people in the community. That doesn't cost a lot of money. And then the other piece that we're doing, we had a teen focus group. And when we asked them what's something that the library can help you with academically, because we do a lot of fun things for kids, we don't necessarily do something focused on academics. And 2 things they suggested is that we hold SAT prep classes and classes on how to write college entrance essays. And we're excited to say that in June, or it is June, isn't it? In a couple of weeks, we've partnered with the college. One of their professors is going to come in and teach an essay class. And then we have volunteer readers that will work one-on-one with the kids while they write their essay and give them feedback on each essay that they have. And then at the end of the summer, we're hosting an SAT prep class for the kids. So already that strategic plan is being put to work, and we've gotten a lot of great information out of it. So, and then you can see within the plan that you received, we did tweak our vision and mission statements. So we just really boiled it down to what is really what we do, make it easy for people to understand. Our vision is growing a vibrant and connected community. And we're going to do that by providing an exceptional place to nurture knowledge and inspire curiosity. And with all that information that we had compiled, the library board, the strategic planning team and the library made suggestions. The library board went and had a retreat, and they really dialed down all that information and came up with 4 priorities that they thought met the needs of the public from all that information we gathered. And the first one was the building. As you know, our building is not old, but it's to that point where things are going to start transitioning. And as we all know, a lot has already occurred with the building. And we're looking into the next 20 years on how to really make that building last. And the board felt like that was probably our number 1 priority. Over and over and over again on when we talked to people, everybody said they loved the building and that we need to take care of it. So that's our first priority. And then the board, along with staff, worked on goals to help meet each of these priorities. So you'll see those in the document. The second priority was expanding connections. I've said that before with that group 20 to 40-year-old. We heard that a lot. People really look to us to connect, do different things in the community, have people, different walks of life meeting together, gathering people for civil discussions and that kind of thing. So we decided to make that our second priority, to expanding those connections in the community. And we can't really do any of this without our staff. Our staff, in my mind, is our number 1 asset. And they're the ones providing all this service for the public. And the board saw that and felt like it was really important to prioritize them. And they put the staff as our third priority. And then the fourth priority was cultivating curiosity. And this really amounts to what we do. We provide programming, we provide collections, and all sorts of different collections. For example, our Library of Things, where people can check out different equipment for their yard or for their kitchen and help enhance what they're doing in their daily lives. For example, I had a patron come in the other day returning a food dehydrator, and she was just thrilled. She'd never done it before. She wanted to test it out. She took this contraption home and tested it and said it worked really well, and she loved it. And she made, I think she dehydrated lemon slices that she can use in different crafts that she works on at home, and really was appreciative that we were able to provide that service for her. And so that plan was approved a few months ago. And right now, the staff really is just working on reviewing all those goals. And we've assigned action items for each of those goals. And we're looking at budgeting and prioritizing and how do we fit all of these items into the budget in the next 3 to 5 years. And so that is our strategic plan. Again, we're really excited to be moving forward in the community. I think it's really, the library is certainly an anchor in our community, and the people continue to thank us for the service and thank us for what we do here. So it's a pleasure. I have a great job, and I'll just open it up for questions.
Mr. Moore.
So Val, if I may, Val, under the protect our buildings, I was just curious kind of the backstory on adapt the current space. What's the thinking about that?
That's a great question, because if some people may have talked to me about this, but the way the building was originally designed, it doesn't allow for good connections with staff and patrons. A good example of this is on the second floor. This is the adult section. The whole adult collection is up there. Computers are up there. And when you come off the elevator or up the stairs, no staff is visible. And I'm not joking that at least once a day, somebody ends up in my office because they don't know where they're going. And it's because there's no staff there. The staff, you actually have to walk into the nonfiction area and turn left before you get to a staff desk. And the staff should be right there. And so I would love, and some people have heard me talk about a flip-flop project, where I want to move the desk to right at the top of the stairs. So when people come off the elevator or up the stairs, they would see staff. Staff can connect with them, help them find what they're looking for, make suggestions. You know, people come up all the time and they're looking for an author, but maybe everything's checked out. Well, we're the ones that know, hey, if you don't, if you don't find what you're looking for, we have great suggestions on authors that you might love instead of that. And it gives us an opportunity to just connect with our patrons a little bit better. And there's a lot of nuances in the building like that where we really want to look at the space and how it's being used. The other thing with that is library usage is changing from 20 years ago, right? It's allowed digital, and it's about this connection. People need meeting room space, they want places to meet, they want places to study. And so how is our building being used? And we're actually doing a patron usage study right now where we're tracking every hour, we're tracking where people are in the building, not just our door count. So we're going to be really looking at how are people using the building and how can we improve on that for them. That was a long answer, but I'm like really excited about that part of the plan, so.
I have one other if I can. So the other was under priority 4, reduce wait times on popular materials by 20%. How do you do that?
Yeah, what we find is the super popular materials, sometimes there'll be 100 people waiting for these items. And so we used to have a holds ratio that we would try and meet. That, for example, we'll have 4 items for every 1 hold. Well, when you have 100 items, that's a lot of books that you're purchasing for that one title. And how do you manage that? And the same with the digital collection, that can even be worse because people just put holds on everything. So we're looking at the statistics on that holds ratio. We're also tracking our holds, the wait time. So how long do people have to wait to get the book that they placed on hold? And looking at how do we purchase additional copies of things inexpensively? How can we move the holds quicker? How can we get people through it quicker? And there's a lot of ways that we can do that where we're kind of examining how we can correct that issue.
Thank you.
Those are great questions,
Do you
thanks.
have a PDF copy of this?
You know what, I would have sent it. I will have, Mitchell Graphics did it and I just didn't get the PDF yet, but I will get that to you.
And we can share it with constituents.
Yes,
Send it to Shane and you'll get it. out to
Okay.
Everybody.
I will do that.
Mr. Shields.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Val. I love the data-driven decision-making.
Yeah.
It seems like
I'm a
lot
numbers
happens.
person, so yeah.
I can tell. Kind of related question. I know that patrons, community members can make recommendations for book titles that they want to see the library handle or hold. How does the library make those decisions? And
You know what, typically we feel like if one person is asking for a title that we don't have and that nobody else has, usually we have a shared system with 9 other libraries. And if it's not in the catalog, chances are if you're asking for it, somebody else wants it, we just buy it. Unless it's like, there might be an exception, but not too many. I mean, if it's, not published properly and it's going to fall apart, that might be a reason. But for the most part, we feel like if one person wants it in our community, somebody else is too, so we would buy it.
thank you.
Mhm.
So not problem.
Great presentation. I also agree with Derek on you seem to be data-driven, that's all about me too. I had a comment and then one question. The comment was, it was really great to see that the #1 book was The Woman. And I thought that, and I read it, and it's an amazing book if you haven't read it. And I thought it was a girly book for women.
Yeah.
It was hard to read. It was easy to read, but it was a really hard to read what she went through in the war. And it's really cool that you did that. I
Oh,
thought that was
thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
My question is really related to what programming, there's kind of a two-phase question. What programming, if anything, do you target summer residents as opposed to year-round residents? not summer visitors up here for the weekend, but the summer folks? Do you have anything specific? And then secondly, is how are you dealing, if anything, with AI, ChatGPT? How is that being incorporated or avoided into your program?
Yeah, those are also very good questions. Do you know, for the summer residents, we don't do too much differently than we do throughout the year. We might bump up our programming a little bit, but there's a lot that goes on here in the summer. And so we try and really pick and choose what we're providing and things that we think people would want to hear. For example, I'm excited, the end of the month, we've got the history of Camp Daggett. They're having their 100th birthday, and that's something that everybody's interested in. So we try and look at that and what's going to have the broadest appeal. But for the most part, we do programming. For kids programming, we've boosted a little bit of our kids programming just so we find a lot of times people come in and they want it that day. They don't want to come to Tuesday story hour. They're there on Wednesday. They want to do something Wednesday. So we're trying to have something every day of the week almost for kids. So that's a little bit different, but for the most part, it's what we just do throughout the year. In regards to AI, that's really an interesting question. We don't encounter too many issues with it, negative issues. I love it. To be honest, it's helped me on a number of things. Writing press releases, it'll help with. And it'll be interesting with this essay class that we're hosting, how he deals with the issue of AI and teaching the kids to write these essays, and how to, read to see, like, was this generated by AI or was this person written, kind of a thing. But for the most part, we don't have that many issues. We're not seeing anything on a day-to-day basis that would affect what we're doing.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Val. And thank you for sharing about the process for gathering the research, the fact that the city had sponsored you to go to a training that then led into the segue of your strategic planning. And really, I loved hearing about your staff being creative about how do we reach the people that we're not reaching. And so to go and meet the people where they're at, those that are non-library users or perhaps non-library card holders, how do we meet them at? And going to the football game is a great kind of evolution. It just shows the strength of like how you are investing in your staff, which I'm very, very grateful for. I see that in the folks that work for the library. So I really just wanted to say thank you for that. And thank you for relying on those folks to be part of your strategic team, your strategic planning team, and coming together and finding the third place as an evolution of what came out of surveys and asking people questions about what was missing. So I'm very grateful for that. So thank you
Oh.
so much.
You are welcome. My pleasure.
Mr. Moore.
So I just want to give a shout out too for your email. So I don't know how many summer residents, Mr. Nachtrub, that might be here, but signing up for that email is really great because that lets you know what's happening
Yeah.
on a how
Weekly.
frequently?
Yeah, we
Weekly.
send it every week. Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You are welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you again.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Next, we move to the consent agenda. It's the adoption of the proposed resolution that would confirm approval of the following. The May 19th, 2025 regular session city council meeting minutes, as well as acknowledge the receipt of certain transactions that have occurred administratively since May 19th, 2025. Also, the authorization to purchase a 2019 production heavy-duty utility truck with a 55-foot aerial device. Approve the Bay Front Park fireworks display permit for July 4th, 2025. As well approve public art as approved by the Public Art Commission and authorize a 50% deposit for an artist. City Council, do you have any questions, concerns, comments? Mr. Shields.
Thanks, Mayor. I think I might have some just questions on the public artwork and wonder if we could pull that one out for discussion.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore.
I have a utility truck question and an artwork question, but it might be the same as Mr. Shields.
You want to pull those out then?
Whatever way you would like to do it.
Up to you. If nobody's making a motion,
Why don't we, Mayor, can I make a suggestion that we maybe just discuss the truck one first and then pull out the artwork one, because that seems to be the one that has any questions.
sure.
Yeah, I just have a quick question about the utility truck. Since it is a used truck that's being proposed, I'm just curious what methods we use to assess its overall condition. Thanks.
Hi, council. So yeah, we use Altech. They are our manufacturer and provider of all of our bucket trucks. So this used truck came into their fleet for resale. They've gone through it. And so what we did is we looked at the budget, and the CIP approved was for a new one. So we looked at what do we want for a new one? And the current truck we have is functioning. It's seen its time. And so really, we just want to replace what we have. So we looked at what is the overall reach, the side reach. So this truck is not a daily use truck, but we need it to service our system. It really serves the overhead aspect of our system. And our daily use trucks are used, they're smaller, they have a smaller reach, and those are the ones that service like the street lights and the traffic lights. So just looking at our overall usage is how we factored into it, then miles, hours, and then relying on pictures and videos from the supplier.
So does Altech make some assessment of the vehicle and then make some representations to you?
Yes,
And then we rely on those representations?
correct.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You got-
Any other questions for Jason? Do I have a motion for parts of this,
I'll be happy to make a motion, Mayor.
please? And it's for,
And it's for the, I'm sorry, to make a motion to sequester some of that out, or to make a motion to move, I'm sorry, forgive me. I guess I'm not ready to make a motion.
Yeah.
we could make a motion leaving that out.
Yeah.
Mr. Moore,
What else, Ray?
Do you want me to?
go ahead.
Please,
Mr.
feel
Moore.
free.
I make a motion to move forward with items A, B, C, and D on the consent agenda.
Good. Do I have a second?
Thank you.
I second the
I
motion.
have a motion from Mr. Moore, a second from Mr. Shields. Any other questions, comments? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Demore,
Aye.
Shields,
Yes.
Walker,
Aye.
Knocktron,
Aye.
Murphy.
Yes, aye. Motion passes 5-0. Now you want to discuss the public art and approve. Questions? Mr. Shields?
Thanks, Mayor. This isn't a big question, but I thought, since this is relatively new, good, just a review of our responsibilities in approving this. And confirming that we are not, and confirming this, we are not saying we're experts in art, and saying that this is a piece of artwork that I would or would not approve, but that we're mostly looking at the approval expenditure of the money here. Yeah, can you review that? What is our goal here with this, Mayor?
This was approved by the Arts Commission. There were, I think it was 43 original art proposals. This was selected by the Arts Commission of 11 people. And felt that this is a bronze. It's bronzed. I think it would get better if you saw it in more in online real life like this. This doesn't do service. It's black and white, as you know. What other questions do you have? Mr. Moore?
Just one follow-up question, Mayor. Well, you said it was approved unanimous? Was that what?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Moore.
So I just needed a reminder, what was our 2025 budget for artwork?
40,000.
Okay,
I believe it was 40.
Or 60.
60,000.
okay. So this would be the piece of artwork for 2025 then?
This would be the piece of artwork for 2025 that will not be delivered until 2026, the spring, due to the bronzing of it. When this was proposed, this stuff normally goes for double or triple the price of what it is. He felt he wanted to have a piece in northern Michigan. Worked with the council, worked with the group, changing what they're holding. One's a book, the other's a camera. Changed the antlers to, instead of an like of an elk, more to a deer. This is something that kids will be able to sit on this bench.
Yeah, I've seen these benches before.
It's a pretty famous artist that is creating this. It was picked, it was unanimously selected as what to go with. There is a raise of, the cost is actually for this piece of $66,000 due to, the cost of, the increase of cost of everything that's going on right now. The board approved that. We do have, the 60,000 plus we do have, 12,500 in a grant. More questions? Mr. Knoptop?
I think it's kind of cool looking. I do. I want to understand the process on the funding of it. So 50,000 was in the budget approved, 60 was in the
60,000.
budget.
Mhm.
So and we're going to spend 66?
There's 12,000 also there that was for a grant that we had received.
So the funding is all fully approved. We're not doing anything.
I believe the funding is totally approved, is it, Mr.?
It will be for this deposit. Obviously, in the budget cycle next year, this body, the city council will allocate a number to the art commission for, another piece in 26. So this will be something that you will consider in the 26 budget.
We'll
for next
consider what,
year.
the rest of it? The
Well,
rest of the payment, or-
I'm only seeking the deposit right now, so the deposit of $30,250. So that's what I'm asking city council to
I guess I'm
approve.
saying, how can we just approve the deposit and not be obligated to the whole thing? And why would we not want to just approve the whole thing? I'm.
Yeah, you can do
confused on
that.
on
You can certainly do that, but I'm
it
not
would
gonna.
seem to me,
I'm
I
not
sure
gonna
wouldn't
send
want to
them-
have this come back to us.
Yeah, I'm not gonna send them that full amount.
No,
Yeah.
and I agree, but I wouldn't think that we'd want to just vote on half of something.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then next year someone says, oh, I don't want to do it, and we get into a big,
You'll recall that we've had, in the budget for 3 years prior, $40,000.
that we haven't spent.
We don't keep it, it doesn't, I thought it was carryover. It is not with the city accounting for situation. So when for the 240 and 40,000s that we got 2 years prior, 3 years prior and 2 years, that all went back to the general fund, so that you guys spent no money on art at all.
Until the.
Last year, we spent 23,000 of the 40 for the tunnel.
Mhm.
The other 17,000 all went back into the
So
general.
this makes
fund.
total sense then. I guess my only comment is then, it would seem to me, if it's sitting in fund, we'd have to take what we take it out of fund balance. But I guess I would love to see the approval be for the full amount and we don't have to come back again. But if that's not the process, then that's not the
Can we
process.
do that?
To be paid out.
Can we just pay for the whole
Yeah.
thing now?
Well, we're not going to
We
pay
wouldn't
for
wanna
it.
pay-
though.
No,
We can
but-
allocate it.
We can allocate it out. How's that? And it will be allocated out and it will not, does that allow us not to lose that funds in December 31st going back to general fund?
That's where I was trying to get to.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
That's what I was trying to get to.
I was always felt that carryover of these funds, I know other things get carried over and I felt it would only be appropriate, but again, we don't operate that way in the city. So we've turned back $90,000 in art money over the last 3 years prior. Mr. Moore.
So do we have the $12,500 grant? Do we have that? Because then that would need to be deducted from the cost in terms of what we're
Hmm.
allocating in the budget. I mean, if we're starting to change this up.
There's a small fee that we are paying Crooked Tree, of roughly $2,000 a year to organize, send out the call for artists, working completely through with us with that process.
Right.
Field rooms, and it's worked out really well. I think it's very cheap for the city. We also have a person on hand that we work with for less amount, who has been writing grants for us. We just completed a 3 and 5, actually a 5-year plan, which will enable us now in the fall to go for more funding through the community foundations, et cetera.
So what I'm trying to get clear here is we're looking now at an item that's $66,000 and we have a budget for $60,000.
Not 66, it should be 60,500.
Well, we gotta raise, didn't they raise it from 6,000?
No,
and
it was 50,
5,000?
it was
It
55,000.
was 55.
okay, so
now
that's
it's
included,
65.
Okay.
60,500 is the total.
So the number in here is correct?
Yes.
60,500. What do you wish to question?
Well, I had another just visual question. I know it says that this is going to be at the bayfront in the marina area, and I just
Yes.
wondered like where and where it was going to be facing. Do we know that yet or?
We don't, we've talked, there's been talk, everything from the waterfalls, which I think is now out, because that carries itself well without needing that. I don't think we're going to put it where the children's play area is because it would be climbed down all the time. We're hoping this will also be something that will create a art trail through the city from neighborhood parks to the waterfront, to the tunnel, uptown to Pennsylvania Park Art. We're hoping to do it that way. So we have several spots that we're looking at. The Arts Commission at the next meeting will be taking a walk and going and looking at sites along the waterfront area prior to making any decision where. There's even been a comment about it being at the end of the dock as a possibility. There are 5 or 6 places that we'll look at. Kendall Smith, our Parks and Rec director, has also identified several places that would work out well. It would be something, it would be lit, it would be, for the public use.
Okay, so to be determined.
To be determined the location.
I would just gonna say, I'd be happy to make the motion to approve this,
Please.
in the entirety.
Please.
I make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mayor.
Okay, now for discussion, is there other discussion that you want on this? Mr. Moore.
I support this whole idea in essence, but I'm wondering if we should maybe add a little clarity to this motion to say that we're supporting the total price of the artwork for $60,500 and approving moving forth with the deposit with the balance to be paid. You know what I mean? A little more.
Yes, that's actually what my intent is here, so that we approve the entire purchase, the contract for the 60,500, authorize the city manager to pay the deposit of 30,250,
Okay.
and then the balance would be paid upon delivery and installation.
You good with that, Sarah? That part of it?
Yes. Or did you mean Lindsay? Because she seconded it.
I'm asking
Yeah.
you, did you get it in writing?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
You got it down.
I'll second that motion.
Motion.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Other discussion? Does the public wish, Ms. Walker?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I am familiar with these type of sculptures and like photo opportunities. I know my mom has one like with Forrest Gump or something. It's that bronze sculpture. So people would go and like take photos next to it. And thank you for mentioning something about, this is an elk stag. And it's also very interesting because the legs are of apparently of female gender because they're crossed and they're shaped. It's just kind of interesting, but nonetheless, I'm like, okay, it's a little odd, but, and not my taste, but that, the idea here is the expending of public funds for artwork that it was already been, allotted in a budget, and now, the committee has gone through the process of selecting this piece of art, so I'm not an art critic, but, and I am familiar with this type of, like, attraction and ability to take do photo ops on a bronze bench, so, thank you.
Very good. I think it, like I say, this picture doesn't do it justice. You saw it in color, in more real life, I think you'd say, yeah. It is a deer, by the way, it's not an elk. Okay. We switched, it
This
didn't have
would
elk
say
horns,
deer.
and they said that and said, get rid of the elk, that's an elk, I don't think they realized it,
Well, yeah.
so, all right. Does the public wish to weigh in on this? Sir.
Who's the artist?
Last name Shatner, Jesse Shatner.
He's out of. I go to Miss Beck for roll.
Naktrab,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Shields.
Yes.
Demore,
Aye.
Murphy.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council. We have quite a group. It's a mixed group of people in the community. A lot of ideas come at this meeting from, I don't know what, say 10 different areas at times. But you know, they're all artists and it works. Next is public comment. It's your opportunity to step up to the mic or online. Give us your full name, full address, and you can address council. Does anybody wish to speak? Ms. Singer,
I'm coming, hold on.
I say yes. She ready?
No, I have to unmute her. It takes a second.
Hi, council. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I was wondering if there has been any progress made with the vacant buildings downtown and action against the owner to bring them up to code.
I'll let our city manager speak to that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
The buildings, I'm not sure which buildings you're referring to, but likely the buildings you're referring to are in the county's hands, in the county's court, currently, the county building department. They have taken that project on and, are following up with the owner to either get it restored structurally or continue through the court, system. So it's an ongoing, Emmett County issue at this point.
Any other questions, Ms. Singer?
She already muted herself, so. I mean,
Anyone else wish to speak? There being none, we'll go.
hold on, Rick.
Hello, Mr. Newman.
Hi, City Council. Thanks for the opportunity to make a comment.
Full name, full address.
Rick Newman, 610 Grand Avenue in Petoskey.
Thank you.
I just want to make the comment that I hope council very seriously considers the historic district ordinance that you're going to be reviewing this evening. I think it's imperative that we finally make a move to adopt a locally designated or create a historic district commission so that we can adopt locally designated historic districts. As an architect, I see almost every week buildings, houses, and more houses right now, I guess, than downtown that are insensitively being renovated, historic houses. I'm not so concerned about ones that are less important historically, but rather those that are. And relative to downtown, I think you know, we've said for years that downtown development is going to be breaking loose one of these days. And it hasn't really, the pressure hasn't really happened yet, but I think that we're getting closer to the point where there is going to be a lot of downtown development pressure that we'll be feeling against our historic buildings downtown and the charm and character that draw so many people here that support our economic vitality in our downtown are at stake. And so I feel that really my experience with historic districts and historic district commissions over many years has said to me that really a locally adopted historic district process is really the only way to really be able to assure that our historic buildings are taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to council at this time? There being none, we'll go now to city manager's update. I turn it over to our city manager, Shane Horn.
Thank you, Mayor. A few staff birthdays and work anniversaries that I'd like to mention today, this being our first meeting of the month. So June birthdays from a staff standpoint, Jim Whitney of Parks and Rec celebrates a birthday this month. Megan Goge at the library and Nick Hunter with Parks and Rec, all celebrating June birthdays. Work anniversaries, I will be celebrating 3 years with the city, so thank you for your continued support for me in my position. Jonathan Zoroff, water, wastewater, also 3 years. Mary Beauchamp at the library, 8 years. Nisa Kessler at the library, 10 years. Chad Bradley, water, wastewater, 14 years. And Marty Flynn, water, wastewater, also 14 years of service. Next couple of weeks, meeting schedule, public meetings coming up. Tomorrow we have a zoning board of appeals meeting at 6 o'clock. Parks and Recreation Commission meets next Monday, June 9th at 6 o'clock. The Art Commission the following Thursday, June 12th at 12 o'clock noon. As you know, we have ward conventions coming up in a couple weeks, starting Monday, June 16th. So all 4 wards will have ward conventions starting at 8 o'clock by charter. So Ward 1, just for a reminder, will happen here in City Council chambers. Ward 2, Petoskey High School cafeteria. Ward 3, Lincoln Elementary School cafeteria. And Ward 4, Central Elementary School cafeteria. And again, those are all at 6 o'clock or all at 8 o'clock on June 16th. Then a couple days later on June 18th, Wednesday, we will meet here in City Council chambers for our city convention. And again, that is at 8 o'clock p.m. A couple fun things happening this Saturday, annual things that have become kind of cherished things in our community. The Petoskey Public Safety Open House will happen on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. There'll be a number of participating agencies that'll be around and available for people to talk with, a lot of equipment for people to touch and get in on and experiment with. So we encourage people to come out and take advantage of that. There'll be a cookout as well, so people can come out and enjoy a nice lunch and relax along the bayfront. Also that same Saturday, June 7th, from 10 a.m. Until 1 p.m. So you can kind of do both things, be down for both things, is the 3rd annual Lynn Doucet Memorial Kids Bike Fest at the Little Traverse Historical Museum. That again is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. People can get more information on the website as well for that. So we encourage people to participate on that. Continuing updates on our spring construction projects. This is the Howard Street reconstruction project from this section would be from State to Grove, that first stretch. All the water and sewer improvements have been completed through Grove Street. Storm sewer will be complete by midweek. Curb and sidewalk on the east side of Howard from State to Central Elementary parking lot have been completed. The base course of asphalt has been installed in the intersection of State and Howard. The west side of Howard, curb and gutter and sidewalk are expected to start by the end of the week. end of next week, and then next week, kind of completing concrete work and prepping for the base course of asphalt, and completing that work from, at least from State to Grove Street, and then we'll continue, obviously, Howard all the way to Sheridan the rest of the summer. Pennsylvania Park, this would be phase 1 from East Lake to the Chamber, is essentially complete minus irrigation work and sod placement. So the sod work will kind of be done all in once phase 2 is completed. Phase 2 would be from Bay Street to East Lake Street. Concrete walkway will be completed by the middle of the week. Weather depending, as we all always say, there is some rain scheduled for midweek, so we'll see how that plays into the construction schedule. Lake Street paving by the end of this week. Irrigation work will be completed next week, and then sod work will follow that. And then they'll do all the finishing work, sod work, all at one time, both phases at once. The Bayfront Arboretum Trail is essentially complete. We finished seeding today. The trail has been open to the public since before Memorial Day, but this final seeding will kind of complete that project, and hopefully grass will follow here shortly. Seville parking lot reconstruction is also essentially complete minus some irrigation and landscape work. All the striping is complete. Bollards and signs are installed. Pay stations have been installed. So the parking lot is open and available for use. That is my construction update. Any questions for me?
Any questions? Mr. Knobtop?
Yeah, just one question. Is the cost of it, the project coming in without surprises at this point?
Yeah, I'm looking at Jason. I don't think there's any surprises. We can give that rundown at our next meeting, kind of how we finished up. Obviously, Howard will be an ongoing project through the course of summer, but I haven't heard of many cost overruns on the other projects.
No, the Seville lot, we're coming in right on budget. The Bayfront Trail is on budget. We didn't find any unexpected things when we were doing that project. Park Avenue, same thing, on budget. Howard Street, we're just starting, so, I mean, it feels like we're just starting. We got a long ways to go, and who knows? But we do have contingencies built in our budget, so we feel pretty good about them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Moore?
So this question is actually for Sarah. Just wondering if you have any reminders or updates you'd like to provide us with in connection with the upcoming ward and/or city conventions.
Sure. So I emailed you guys last week. If you didn't see that, take a look. It was Friday morning. Just letting you know that materials will be delivered the week of the 9th, so next week. You'll see those at your doorstep. Joe, you'll be absent, correct? So the mayor is filling in. So materials will be delivered. Just a reminder, in those materials, there's always the ward procedures. Look over those closely. City convention procedures. It talks about the eligibility of participation, so it's clearly identified in the procedures and also per charter. So that's important to know. And then also, it is the responsibility of the convention chairperson and clerk of the convention to certify nominees for candidates along with delegates and alternates based on the eligibility. So it's supposed to be done at the convention.
Okay.
And then as a reminder, all those materials get delivered to me by 5 p.m. the next day. Yep. Signs, we've been installing those around the community at different intersections along with the locations of the convention. So those will start per regulations, will go out next Thursday, I believe it is. So you'll see those also. And I believe that is it, unless you guys have more questions.
Other questions for Sarah? Ms. Walker?
Just to articulate the wards that are up for nomination for election would be Ward 2, Ward 4, and Ward 3 as a special election.
Correct. It's Ward 3 for that partial 1-year term, and they'll only be serving that 1-year term.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Moore?
Just thank you.
Moving right along. New business. Adoption of a proposed resolution approving the 2025 Emmett County Hazard Mitigation Plan. I'd go to City Manager Horn for this.
Thank you, Mayor. So this comes around every 5 years or so. We go through this process, joining Emmett County to update our hazard mitigation plan. We use the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000, which establishes the requirements for pre and post-disaster hazard mitigation programs. So we did have staff join these regular meetings. Director Carr was our city staff person. I know Council Member Walker joined a few meetings as well. So this has been a collaborative process where multiple Emmett County jurisdictions get involved, provide feedback. Obviously, we see the value of emergency planning from what we went through in March. So it's important to have, a plan in place that we can utilize and put into action as needed. So again, this is every 5 years. This is a process that we go through, that Emmett County goes through. One of the things that has to happen, each jurisdiction has to pass a resolution adopting the plan, if you will. So that's what's in front of you tonight. It is a very large document. I appreciate your feedback on how you wanted that presented to you. It is available in the packet electronically. It will be part of our website for people to look at as well. So right now, many jurisdictions in Emmett County are kind of going through the same process as you all are going through tonight. I know it's on Emmett County Board of Commissioners agenda this evening as well. So if there's any comments or feedback, I'd take those at this time.
Questions or comments? Mr. Moore.
Well, mine is just a comment. So when you see 500 pages, it's sort of like take a deep breath. But I have to say, this was an impressive gathering of information about Emmett County for anybody who's interested. It looks at sinkhole risks, shoreline erosion, population trends, housing, traffic counts. I mean, it really is an impressive collection of information. And then I would also note that the passage of this also qualifies us for FEMA pre-disaster and post-disaster mitigation grant funding. So it's very important. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Shields.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm glad to recommend adopting the proposed resolution for the Emmett County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Support.
I have a motion from Mr. Shields, second from Mr. Moore. Any other discussion, council? Does the public wish to speak to council regarding this matter? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Shields.
Yes.
DeMore.
Aye.
Nachtrab.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, the authorization to purchase 2 portable light towers. Jason, do you want to speak on this? Is that okay? Yes.
So we have 2 dated light towers that we use for emergency situations, utility repairs and things at night. And then public safety also uses them for situations and then special events. So those are up for renewal in our plan here. We've priced out 3 different manufacturers. 2 of the manufacturers meet our specifications. One of them, the Wacker, the one listed on the bottom of the memo there, did not meet our specs that we were looking for. So that is why we are not recommending the lowest priced units, and we are recommending the Almond unit with at a price of $30,000. I don't have it in front of me, but
680.
Council, do you have any questions for Jason? No, Carl.
Is it a new one, used one? I saw that it's coming from a McAllister rental. Is it?
McAllister rental, yes, but they are brand new
Brand new.
units, yes.
Thank you.
I have a motion. Ms. Walker.
I'll be happy to make a motion, Mayor, to adopt the enclosed resolution authorizing city staff to purchase 2 portable light towers for McAllister Rental in the amount of $30,618.
Second.
I'd be happy to support it.
Have a motion from Ms. Walker, a second from Mr. Knobtrop. Any other discussion, council? Does the public wish to speak on this? There being none, I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Walker,
Aye.
Knocktrop,
Aye.
Demore,
Aye.
Shields.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Jason. Next is the first reading of a proposed historic district ordinance, and I'll turn it over to City Manager Horn.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is back in front of you. As you recall, we had a presentation from the Michigan State Historic Preservation Office back in the first part of May, looking at becoming a certified local government. Is essentially a unit of government that's making a formal commitment to historic preservation at the local level. There's essentially 5 steps in this process. So the first step is enacting and enforcing a historic district ordinance, which is what is in front of you. We did kind of use the boilerplate from the State Historic Preservation Office. We did run this through our city attorney. She'd made a few changes to that based on her experience and input. So that's what's in front of you tonight for first reading. It's fairly, it's essentially straight out of SHPO's guidebook, if you will, for our CLG. However, again, our city attorney did review it from a formatting standpoint and did suggest some changes which are implemented in this ordinance in front of you this evening. Just as a reminder, this is becoming a certified local government, establishing a historic district ordinance is mentioned in our Livable Petoskey Master Plan. It is an action plan priority of City Council as well. So hopefully this is in line with the direction you would like to go.
I had one call, one ask, and that was a person calling and saying, will this affect, can I still remodel my house without the state stepping in and saying you have to do it this way or that?
Well, I don't know if I can specifically answer that question without more detail, but we'd have to kind of know more about that.
Okay. Mr. Moore.
So I just want to indicate on the record, in the spirit of full disclosure, that I own 2 City of Petoskey properties that are on both the state and National Historic Register. At this point, based on my perspective in consulting with the city attorney, I have no conflict of interest with moving this forward. I will certainly revisit this issue if we move to establish a historic district or districts. And then I also just wanted to say, having reviewed this, I think it's incredibly important that when we appoint members to the study committee, that they have a degree of background and training and expertise in this subject matter. This is a pretty heavy lift. I do absolutely support it. But since Mr. Newman called in tonight, I'm going to put him on the spot to say that he's the type of person we should be looking for. He has deep experience in this area, and I believe serves in a capacity akin to this on Mackinac Island. So just thank you.
Mr. Newman, were you on prior, weren't you on a prior study group on this in the past?
He is. I just, you should be able to.
Yes, there was a study committee appointed, I guess, about 4 years ago now.
Yes, sir.
We met 3 or 4 times and then COVID came along and we stopped meeting, and then our chairperson took a different job. And so the committee just kind of disbanded, I guess, until we were ready to make a new effort on its behalf.
All right. Thank you. Miss Lindsay Dotson.
Well, are you do council?
I know.
Okay.
She's been on, her hand's been up.
So you want me to open her up?
Oh, let her speak. Her hand has been up. It is first reading. She there?
It takes a second.
Hi. Okay, here we are. I just wanted to answer the question.
Before you go
I'm sorry.
farther, I need your full name, full address.
Lindsay Dotson, 210 Michigan Street, Apartment 3, Petoskey, Michigan.
Thank you.
Okay. So the ordinance that you all are reviewing right now is essentially allowing the establishment of a historic district commission and eventually a local historic district. So it does not have any regulatory authority. So if you do get questions at this point in the mix, the answer is people can still do whatever they want to their buildings.
Mr. Shields.
Thanks, Mayor. My comment, preservation and celebration of our heritage is important, but also very important is ensuring that our community is able to continue to mature and incrementally change over time. The character of our community is something that's important, but it should be retained in an ever-evolving and changing and improving way. So I am reading through this ordinance. I'm very leery and not currently supportive of this moving forward. Talk about there being 5 steps. As I read through this ordinance, it is very complicated. There are some things here that would be incredibly burdensome to any sort of development that is needed in our community. So I would need to know more. Potentially this is something that I could get behind the support, but not at this point. I talk about those 5 steps. I want to know what are we talking about as a historic district, and how does that going to work? Is there any sort of voluntary adoption of this for those historic buildings or districts that are voluntary, or is this dictated by council? There's a lot of questions I have. I think without a doubt, there are iconic historic places and buildings that we want to protect. But I think that should be very few and far between, and that the character can be retained through a incremental, a attitude of a constantly changing, evolving attitude versus holding something in place, which I think this threatens to have that type of lock and stone attitude. Maybe not. I remain open, but I want to see something that is that reassures this concern of mine. So that's kind of where I'm at after reading this ordinance. I need to know more. Thank you.
Mr. Knobloch.
Is there by establishing this, does it also establish where it is?
No.
The boundaries?
This is merely a study committee looking at the feasibility of it.
Okay, so in my own personal experience with SHPO, not in the state of Michigan, but in the state of Ohio, which follows sort of the same kind of rules all over the country, it can be restrictive. There is no question about it, and if it's the similar thing. So I love the idea as well, but I think we should have our eyes open as to geographic, and maybe this doesn't matter right now, where it is and what the rules are going to
So
be.
you'd like more information?
A
is
lot more
what you're saying.
information too.
Okay. And this is first reading.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Moore.
No, I know that this is really dense. In fact, I had some follow-up with city attorney about some language I wasn't happy with. But what I would say is if you focus on section 27.4, 27.4 really explains how this is just the beginning of allowing a study committee. And beyond that, there are public hearings required. It comes back to us. There's recommendations about, is it one district? Is it more than one district? So I think a lot of what's in 27-4 would be what you might want to take a relook at, because I think that's helpful, and none of what we're approving today establishes any districts, requires any districts, anything like that. So
And
that was
anything
just my
that's
follow-up,
approved would come back to city council as well.
along with
Mr.
public
Shields?
hearings.
Yeah, but like, I guess, so, thank you, Mr. Moore, for that. It is thick, and so I see 27-11, the permit applications. I see much more than just establishing the commission and kind of getting this off the ground. I don't want to be a roadblock to getting something off the ground to learn more, but this ordinance seems like it has much more than just getting something off the ground.
So let me dig in even a little bit further for you. If you look on page 55, paren F. Okay, so just there, if you look at F2, after receiving a final report that recommends the establishment of a historic district, the city council at its discretion may introduce and pass or reject an ordinance. So I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Thank you. I'll review it further.
Other questions? So where do you want to go with this? Mr. Knobtop.
I'd like to really I'd like to reread this. I read it and it is
Okay.
dense and with,
All right.
with, comments. I'd like to read it a little
Okay.
bit more.
I think, and we can have a first reading, another first reading of this, which is fine. There's no problem with that. Ms. Tweeden, do you wish to speak to council?
Yes, please. Amy Tweeten, Downtown Manager, and I'd just like to touch on some of the questions that I'm hearing. One is, this is an ordinance that's saying city council would like to move forward potentially with creating local historic districts. We currently have 2 National Register historic districts, which are exactly what Councilman Shields does. It gives honorary protection or identification to a property. It gives no protection from those buildings being fully demolished or how they are maintained. This ordinance is just a first step in a multi-step process. The commission, so there's 2 different things that would need to occur. One would be the formation of a historic district commission, and that would be a citywide commission. That commission would then decide, maybe we want to look at the downtown National Register Historic District as a potential local historic district. And it's when you get to the point of a local historic district that you have actual regulation. They would then appoint a study committee who would do the base work and make a recommendation back to the commission, whether the National Register District boundaries as they stand now are the appropriate boundary for a local district or not a local district. And then the commission would decide whether to move forward. So there's multiple, and there are 2 districts are the Downtown National Register District and the East Mitchell Residential Historic District. There have been also discussions of doing historic district in the Old Town Emmett neighborhood, potentially on the West Side neighborhood. Those are not currently National Register districts, but those are the kinds of things a study committee could be appointed by a commission to study and look at. Are these areas we want to have protections in place for? So in terms of what is the boundary, the Historic District Commission would be looking citywide, but most likely they would be focusing on either downtown or the 2 National Register districts we already have. So I don't know if that clarified anything,
It did.
but
Do you have
Thank you.
questions, Mr. Shields? Or Mr. Knobtop?
No,
I was just wondering if you had a question for her.
no.
Mr. Moore?
again, since Mr. Newman's on the line and listening to me, he's another great person that you guys, anyone could follow up with on this, because he really has a degree of expertise that could be helpful.
So I think it would be great if we had a picture of the two districts up on the board, a map. A map to describe the two districts you're talking about, Amy. That would be helpful to council at the next meeting. But at the next meeting, to have that in the budget, in the packet and on the wall, and you guys can see exactly where we're talking about.
I love maps. I'm all about
All right, but I just think it'll help you get a better understanding of what we have already identified and where we're going forward. So, is there anything else you want from city manager regarding this for the next meeting?
Other thing to keep in mind is this does open us up for additional grant resources that we wouldn't otherwise be able to take advantage of. So there's that as well.
Mr. Moore.
And I would just say, you know, it's fine to have the districts, a map in our packet that have been referenced, but the commission could potentially recommend other locations as well. So,
Sure.
yeah, that would be
That's
to be
right.
determined. Yeah.
But it's just to let people know what is now.
Yep.
What's going on now, and then we can pick up from there. Okay. Eventually, if you move forward with this, I would bring forward names of individuals in the public, residents, city residents that would possibly serve on the board, and would bring those names forward to you as I did, 5 years ago. Okay. Next
There's
is,
someone online if you want to ask. public
Sure.
comment.
yes, Ms. Dobson.
Unmute it. Hi, just wanted to also address the issue of the review process and permit application. That language being included in here is just outlining what the process would be if a local historic district were to be established. So it is not, it's just outlining the process and the laws that protect you as the city for enforcement if you were to move toward the establishment of a local district. So this ordinance doesn't actually establish a district. It is giving you all the tools to be able to, once all the processes that everyone has just discussed have been taken care of. And then there is a very public facing process in the establishment of a local district. Property owners have to be notified. Obviously, you mentioned public hearing. So, and there has to be a majority of the affected properties that are in agreement for it to even move forward. And so there's a lot of stopgaps that are built into the process that will hopefully help you all feel comfortable knowing that nothing crazy is going to happen without a whole lot of people knowing about it. So
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to council? We're moving right ahead to the first reading of a proposed zoning ordinance amendment allowing the use of below grade in the central business district. I'll turn that over to City Manager Horn.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is on again for first reading. It's a proposed ordinance amendment, really to kind of clean up a little bit of what's gone on over the course of time in our central business district as we look at below grade uses in the downtown. There are a number of retail, restaurant, personal service businesses that operate either in the basement or below the average grade of their respective buildings. As we look at future development, allowing residential uses in the basement or below grade would open up more opportunities for potentially affordable units as well. So I think that's up for discussion, as well as trying to renovate and rejuvenate some buildings that need to have some work done to them. We do have developers that come to us asking for different uses for different buildings downtown by allowing this use in below grade spaces that just provides more opportunity for a project to pencil out a little bit better. So this has gone through the Downtown Management Board review process. It has gone through the Planning Commission review process. We do have John Eichelangeli on the line as well and available for questions going forward. Amy is obviously here representing a Downtown Management Board for questions as well. So again, this kind of creates a usable space and kind of puts everybody on a level playing field. Those that have been doing it over the course of time, it brings them into compliance, if you will, and everybody's playing from the same playing field. Again, gives opportunity for more development that would otherwise not be allowed in those spaces. So we're kind of creating new definitions as we look at co-living. We do have a development that's interested in that downtown currently. So that there's a definition for that as well. And the ordinance kind of, again, trues up some of the things that have been going on the commercial side. So it provides those uses by permitted use under commercial and kind of establishes that benchmark, if you will, going forward. And from a residential standpoint, these would be special condition uses that would go through our normal process for approval. So I'm available for questions. John and Amy are also available for your questions. This again is on for first reading. It doesn't change short-term rentals. Those would still not be allowed on the main or below average grade spaces. Those would only be allowed in the central business district on the upper floors.
Questions, council? Ms. Demore?
So I don't know who wants to answer this, but I don't have any objection to this overall, but I have a bit of a concern. So when I look at the residential and the lodging, their special condition uses, which is referencing 1717. And if you look at the standards in 1717, for the most part, they really don't apply to this type of use. They're looking at size and appropriate location, protecting natural man-made features, a site that can accommodate on-site traffic circulation, et cetera. So when I flip it over and see number 5, which applies to residential locations, I have two thoughts. One, that 5 should also include the hotels. They're going to be located at a lower level because they're akin to a residential use where you're going to have humans staying there. That's number 1. And number 2, I wonder if because 1717 doesn't really directly apply to this type of use, if 5 overall should be more robust since we're putting human beings below grade level. So I don't know who wants.
And I think the big thing to really consider is 5B. This is not going to be an easy thing for a developer to do. It's going to be very expensive for a developer to do this because everything has to comply with the building, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, fire codes. So that's one thing I think that we can be kind of have a little bit of assurance on, that we're not putting people in a space that's not doesn't meet those codes. So it's got to go through that process, a fairly rigid process, and obviously Emmett County will be providing that oversight on that standpoint.
But Shana, excuse me, as I read this, hotels don't come under 5.
Hotels are now listed, would be listed as a special condition use in the chart.
Right, but so are residential units. So 5 applies to residential units. And my suggestion is that those hotel units, since you're lodging humans, should also fall under 5. And I see that John's on with his hands up, so maybe.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, to address Councilperson Demore's question, the Section 901, the standards for review in Section 1717 are the general standards that apply to all special land uses in the city. The Planning Commission wanted to require some additional standards that were only applicable to residential uses. So A through E apply for residential units. The hotel would apply basically to the general standard that we would use on any other special land use in the city. So that's the differentiation.
Right, but 1717, which I'm looking at right now, applies more to lot size, protecting features of a site. How are those pertinent to humans staying in a hotel that's ground level?
Well, anybody that, if a hotel had well, for example, the Perry Hotel has several below grade rooms, and they have to comply with the state building code and fire codes. So they have to apply, in addition to zoning, they also have to apply to the various safety and building codes that are promulgated by the state of Michigan. So that's what controls the occupancy for a hotel that would be below grade. The Planning Commission would just take a look at the special condition uses relative to size, location, etc., as part of their special land use standards that they would use on any land use in the city that requires a special conditional use approval.
Yeah, I'm not referencing land use. What would be the downside of including hotels in Section 5 along with residential?
Return E.
We could insert residential units and hotels in a basement or below grade. They still have to meet the construction code.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I said we could insert on number 5, residential units and hotels in a basement or below grade would have to meet the 5 requirements.
I would support that change.
Mr. Shields.
Thanks, Mayor. And similar to Council Member Demore's comments about maybe the lack of relevancy of Section 1717, except I go the opposite direction and then say, well, we should just make those permitted uses. I don't see the need for the Planning Commission to weigh in on those. I feel like Section 5 covers that. I do not think they need to be more stringent. The realm of the Planning Commission to change for add additional standards from 1717 don't seem necessary. I recommend that we just make those all permitted uses and make it easier to do. As Manager Horn said, I see wins, lots of wins here, and definitely support this as a way to produce potentially housing at different price points in our community, a very important need, as well as to make development projects more viable and to utilize our spaces and productive uses in the community, which is great for our tax base.
Mr. Norton.
I have a question that's probably background on that, but it's, why are we prohibiting short-term rental on subgrade, but we are allowed on upper storage? Is there some story to this?
Yes.
What's the story?
Thanks for asking.
If I may, that's a good question. That's currently in the licensing ordinance that short-term rentals are allowed in the upper story and in the CBD.
We want to talk about that?
Do you?
Why you look at me?
Because you've talked about it before.
Feeling a little thick here.
I think the idea is we don't want to take away commercial property for residential use.
Below grade.
No, you're saying,
What I'm saying is if you, what's the objection to a short-term rental below grade? If you're allowing residential below grade, if they otherwise complied with everything in 5, why prohibit short-term rental below grade? I'm not getting the logic of it.
Mr. Shields.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. Thank you, council member. The discussion in the past was that if you're for creating a residential dwelling unit, the goals of our master plan is to try to create more livable spaces. Short-term rental would oppose that and take away a potential livable places. I think there was some discussion, the history of it, there's discussion on that ordinance that the city planner mentioned last year, and you know, there was some good, healthy debate about the first floor, whether short-term rentals could be allowed or not. So that's, I think, the thickness in the room. You're sensing that disagreement we had in the past.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore.
I just want to say I most respectfully disagree with my colleague about removing the special condition use. For my part, I think it's very important for humans to have eyes on these things and to analyze them, particularly when you're looking at putting human beings at a lower level or below grade. So on that point, we respectfully disagree.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. So obviously, one of the questions I had was section D. Refuse collection should not be located in a public alley or public space. Obviously, trash removal in our community is the responsibility of the property owner as a pay-as-you-throw community, but I can think of several areas where public alleys are the only location for collection of any kind of refuse or recycling. And then I also have a specific question about on East Lake Street at Linda Michaels gallery there, jewelry shop, there is an apartment compartment down below in the alley. And so I'm wondering, would that type of unit be grandfathered in under these rules, or would that existent long-term rental in the alley below grade be allowed to continue to exist if this ordinance comes into place? Maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but.
John, city planner, who wants to address that?
Mayor, that's a great question from Councilman Walker. That would be grandfathered in. And the other issue relative to trash removal and disposal, the planning commission's aware that some properties have to use the alley, but they wanted to make it part of the special review so they could take a look at possible alternatives before just granting permission to use an alley or a public space for trash removal.
Thank you.
These are sensitive areas that are in alleys that have cars driving through them, foot pedestrian, so the special condition use is good because it gets extra review, I believe. This is first reading. We'll come back next week in a month. Okay? Other questions? No? Moving along. Next is the discussion and confirmed date for special joint session with Planning Commission for proposed 2026 to 2031 capital improvement plan. I turn it over to City Manager Horn.
yeah, we're getting in that season again. I've distributed new CIP documents out to department heads to start the process. So we've got a couple months here to start working through that, but I'd like to get on our radar a combined joint work session with Planning Commission to have staff go through their respective capital improvement projects, capital improvement plan in its entirety. Typically, we've done that like the second week of August has been kind of our target, if you will. So I would be open to some potential dates that city council may be available to have this joint work session.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Shane, for help keeping us on task as well on this. I guess I do have a couple questions. it would be helpful maybe if you have any suggestions, if we want to do another Saturday meeting again or following the format that we've used the past 3 years for the capital improvement plan. And then I also would be particularly interested in making sure that we are, again, reviewing the PACER ratings. Jason isn't here anymore, but those
Yeah.
ratings that we utilize, and I don't know if they're conducted every couple of years, but
Every 3 years.
okay, every 3 years. So I don't know where we're at in that every 3-year rating, but I know in particular on Fulton Street, we've been waiting for the completion of the Lost at Lumber Square project to potentially address Fulton Street, and it does have a red in terms of its quality, but it was never justifiable to invest in that as a secondary street and not like a thoroughfare within the city. But now with these new improvements at the Lofts at Lumber Square and all the infrastructure work that happened underneath the street, I would hope that maybe as part of the capital improvement plan for 2026 to 2031, that could potentially be part of that discussion again. And once again, I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself, but I want to make sure I can put a special
Nope.
plug in.
Yep, no, that's
that
great.
piece of rating.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Allow
that.
to have a chance when they do the presentation.
Yeah, it looks like last year our date was August 13th, which was a Tuesday.
I don't mind doing it Tuesday. I don't know.
August.
Left-handers Day.
You have a detailed calendar, Mr. Knoptrop.
Well, that was last year was a Tuesday. The corresponding Tuesday this year would be August 12th. If you wanted
Is
to
it-
keep it a Tuesday, or if there's another night that's better. Or maybe I would propose a first choice and a second choice.
I'm gone pretty much at the end of every of those 4 weeks, because it's summertime here.
Of course. So you would prefer not to do a Saturday meeting? Is that what you're saying? Thank you.
You
Okay.
can do it.
I second that
will not
motion.
be there.
Calling from the boat.
I can call in from,
I can-
I
okay.
can call in from
Saturday in February,
Chicago to Quantico or Two Hearted. Either of those.
Mayor, the 12th works for me. That would be Tuesday and also the 13th, Wednesday, so.
Okay, thank you.
Tuesday or Wednesday. Ms. Demore?
Yeah, you're looking at after the workday, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All good?
Those are good with me.
Okay,
Those are good with me.
all right, so
Right.
talk to the planning.
So well, I'll mention your first preference is the 12th, second is the 13th. Thank you so much.
Will there be
Yeah.
pizza that day?
We'll have something, yes.
Oh, good. Feed them and they will come. Feed them
Right.
dessert and they'll come back. All right. So. Moving right along, we have city council comments, and I'm going to go to Ward 2, Mr. Shields first.
Thanks, Mayor. I reached out to one of the Ward 2 residents who's been in contact with, who has a potentially dangerous tree, and asked if the status, and they responded that there are still many branches hung up in the tree and just can't afford to pay to have it trimmed or removed at what I understand to be the going rates. I was disappointed that the attorney review of that document hasn't occurred yet, and that this program still has not received the support to move forward as a pilot project. So looking forward to bring that back when we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did mention in my email, and obviously it's up to council, I did have a good discussion with
Northwest
think-
Community Action.
Thank you, Mayor. They do have some resources that they received from the Community Foundation. She did say we could steer residents to their program. Obviously, I don't know how quickly, it was a $20,000 award. I don't know how quickly they're going through that, but that might be an option currently, and then if that gets depleted, potentially they could go back, or we could, try to work something out at that time, but Tish did say that we could move people into that program if city council so chose to at least provide that mechanism.
So, Mr. Shields, I would recommend that you get a hold of that person that is interested and make sure and get a good connection for them with Northwest Community Action Agency Group to access that funds.
Sure, I will. Thank you for that recommendation. I think the city could take a lead and do more. I think it's inadequate. It's inadequate at this time to just send them to a countywide effort with $20,000, but thank you.
Mr. Knobtrop, Ward 3.
I have nothing.
Ward 4, Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. I am just coming away from celebrating my son's Petoskey High School graduation. Our community has been such an amazing supporter, both as a tax base of the Petoskey Public School System, but also all of the celebrations, allowing us to post yard signs during the duration of graduation events and hosting a car parade and the presence of public safety during all of our events is felt and appreciated in our community. So I am delighted and feeling so proud of our Petoskey Public School System, and obviously with the graduation of my son and the onset of summer and this wonderful summer weather. So all good things. And I look forward to door knocking and turning out people in my community for our ward convention on June the 16th. This is an opportunity for our community to get engaged in what's happening locally in our own neighborhoods and then in the city. And obviously there's many opportunities for people to run for elected office. So I always encourage folks to dip your toes in the water of elected office because we have a lot of fun over here. So thank you so much.
Ward 1, Ms. Demore.
Just an update that the letters offering Petoskey Youth Advisory Council positions for 2025, 2026, including reappointments, have gone out. Students have until June 11th to accept the offer of a position. And then I just wanted to follow up on Councilperson Shields' suggestion last month that we do schedule some work sessions and to make sure that we all put together lists or however we're going to come up with our ideas so that we can move some of those issues forward. I support doing that. Thank you.
And my summaries, 2 things that I participated in. I call it the Garden Club Junior Varsity. Gathered for the 3rd or 4th year. Individuals that were interested in helping to assist the Garden Club in planting. We did Pennsylvania Park, the monuments, the Carnegie Building, the Hemingway Building. So we planted a group of, I think, 8-10 volunteers, planted those. I also on Friday attended all day the Northwest Michigan Arts Council conference in Traverse City. Found it very, very educational and moving art forward in the community. We also are moving forward on our dog park. We have a meeting Thursday on the dog park.
Week from Thursday.
A week from Thursday for the dog park. We are looking, we took a field trip up the river 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and are moving forward with hopefully I'll come back to you at the next meeting with more information.
Where's the meeting? Where and when?
The meeting is
Here.
right here
Okay.
at 5 o'clock next Thursday,
Between
which would be the
13.
12th. We took it on the road and we went to 2 locations on the west side. One of them was identified as better than the other. So there being no further business to come before this council, I call this meeting adjourned, and make sure you